Let's learn various measures of variability using Microsoft Excel. For this example, I'm going to be using the Center and Spread Week 5 Excel spreadsheet that I created for you. It is available both in our course and in a link in the description for this video. Let's take a look at our data set and learn how we are going to create these measures of variability. To do this example, we are going to return to the tab CT and VAR. You'll notice there's already some information filled in, and if you've been following along with these videos, you'll know exactly what that information is. That is what we created when I taught you about creating measures of central tendency using Microsoft Excel. But now we're going to fill in the rest of these boxes for the measures of variability, including measures of percentiles. Let's get started with creating the variance for the variable days to fail. The variance uses a formula, equal sign, VAR, but there's more, .s. There are two functions here. We can use the var.s when we have a sample, which is what we have here. If we had access to the entire population, we would use var.p. The difference between the two formulas has to do with degrees of freedom, and I have other videos that will explain the use of degrees of freedom. For now, all you need to know is that we have a sample of data. We're going to use the var.s formula. To complete this formula, we will add an open parentheses, and all of the data are in column B. So I'm going to click on B, giving me B:B, and return to get the variability of 17.6. Now to create the standard deviation, I could take the square root, SQRT, of the variance, which is 4.2, or I could use a different formula, which is equal sign STDEV dot S. For the same reason as before, we have a sample, not a population. Open parentheses, click on column B, close, again, 4.2. The standard deviation is always the square root of the variance. Now I'm going to show you the coefficient of variation, which is the standard deviation divided by the mean. It's not a very frequently used measure, but it can be really useful for comparing variability between two samples. The coefficient of variation was going to use a formula that isn't required in Excel because it's very simple. Equal sign, standard deviation divided by the mean. And return, there is 47% coefficient of variation for these data. We could compare that to other data sets to see whether there is more or less variability in those data sets. Another form of variability that we're going to discuss is quartiles and percentiles. Percentiles, percent is per 100, so those are going to be more like percentages. Whereas quartiles would be per quarter, or 25%, but they're both created using essentially the same math, but two different formulas in Microsoft Excel. Let's start with the quartiles. To create the first quartile, or the first 25%, we'll start with this formula. Equal sign, QUARTILE, dot EXC. Now, open parentheses, our data are in column B. So click on B to get B:B. And there's a second argument that is required. What quartile is this? So I could do comma 1 for the first quartile, or 25th percent, but I actually created this spreadsheet in a special way so that all I need to do is click right here on that 1 and close parentheses. There's my first quartile. The advantage of doing it this way is I can now drag this formula down to quartile 2 and quartile 3, and they will be filled in because I have the 2 and the 3 appearing in this column. So they are automatically copied into the formula. All right. Next, we're going to do the range and the interquartile range. There's not a formula for this, but I'll show you how to get to these numbers. To create the range, we're going to use the min and max function. So I'm going to click on the G16 for range. I'm going to do equal sign. I'm going to subtract the minimum from the maximum. So we'll start with the max. max, open parentheses, b colon b, now close parentheses. Find the max value in b minus the min, minimum value from b colon b. I'll just type it out. Close parentheses and return. So the range is 19. The interquartile range is the difference between the first and third quartile. So that's going to be pretty easy as well. Equal sign, quartile 3 minus quartile 1, and return. Interquartile range is now 6. And we can wrap up with some measures of percentiles. Let's check those out. The formula for the percentile is very similar to the quartile. It's equal sign, P-E-R-C-E-N-T-I-L-E, percentile dot E-X-C. And open parentheses. I need the 20th percentile. That's what's indicated here. And to get that value, I'm going to start by indicating where my data are in cell B. And then the second argument is comma. For 20, I'm going to use 0.2 or 0.20, close parentheses, and return. So this gives me the 20th percentile. To get the 45th and the 80th percentile, I'm actually going to cheat a little bit. I'm just going to drag this formula down. Good. Still get the 20th percentile on both of these, but I can edit this formula. So I'll go up here and change that 0.2 to a 0.45. And then for the 80th percentile, I'll change the 0.2 to a 0.8. That saved me a little bit of time in creating those percentiles. And those are all measures of variability using Microsoft Excel.